The past few years, I've been selling mentorship programs or coaching programs either on behalf of someone or myself. And today's video, I want to share to you guys the lessons that I've learned on what makes a good coaching program, how can you actually scale a coaching program all the way up to $1 million a month, and the methods that they use, right? So I'm practically unfolding the curtains in today's video on my experience, what I've seen on being able to close for a bunch of different coaching mentorship programs, and at the same time as well on how I was able to implement it, right? So without further ado, I don't want to waste your time, your valuable time. So let's dive right into it. So here is the method. So just for a bit of context, I have personally have sold my own mentorship program as well, helping people get into remote sales or high ticket sales, right? And I've made roughly around 200 grand in cash collected. And this is not accounting like a bunch of other payment processors that we have. This is only one of the payment processors we've had, right? And then most recently at November as well, here's a Renaissance Closer. That's the name of my company and my consulting program. And then also here's a spreadsheet that I have for the revenue that we've generated, right? Obviously, this is kind of a bit like, this is not 100% accurate. I'm terrible at tracking numbers, but eventually I got better. Now this is like one of my old screenshot, right? So that's just a bit of context myself. But what I'm about to reveal to you is the exact formula used by coaches and consultants who have printed, all the way up from 50K per month to 500K a month in cash collected. So you might be wondering, Elijah, how are you so confident on saying that these frameworks that I'm going to see in today's video is what coaching programs uses? Well, just for a bit of context, I trained over 200 sales reps to actually close for these coaches and consulting programs, right? So that means I was able to see their sales process, right? I was able to see what are the methodology that they use to actually scale their program, from marketing, from sales, hiring, training, positioning their offer, and all that stuff. So that's just a bit of context on how I was able to get these information, right? And obviously, I can't 100% disclose all of the names or drop names of these individuals just for their security sake, right? I don't want to drop specific names and those stuff. But again, here's another context, right? This is one of the CRMs, one of the coaches I've closed for and managed their sales team, meaning like their setter team. Help or for example, here you can see they've closed over 535K in sales, right? They booked roughly around 1.2K in sales call, right? And all that good stuff. Really, really just good organic presence, right? And again, my goal in this video is very simple: to transparently educate you on how these online coaches, consultants print 50 to 100K per month and how you can do it yourself. So here's the thing. Here's a quick checklist on how these coaches print 100K per month. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it a bit better. So experts in so number one, most importantly, right? If you're a coach or a consultant, you need to be an expert in a skill set, a specific field, right? So for example, e-com, real estate, crypto, fitness, or mindset, right? And obviously, second is personal brand. You need to have a good personal brand organically, right? This means in your Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever the social platform you're trying to grow, or X, right? I didn't put it here, but also X or Twitter is also a good platform. And lastly, right, you have this implemented. This is what I've noticed. You have the deal flow operating system implemented, or by short, DFOS. Like I couldn't come up with a proper name with it because I feel like I don't think I don't think that anyone has spoken about this yet publicly, right? That's what I'm sharing to you guys. But again, just for an example, here are a couple faces that might look familiar to you, right? In terms of experts, right? So Iman Gadzhi, Alex Hermosi, V Shred, Jordan Walsh, right? So Iman is a professional or expert in the SMMA space, and then he was able to go ahead and become a more generalized expert into the online coaching, consulting, or just business realm, right? And that niche. And then Alex Hormozy, right? Um, he started at gym business, his gym launch, right? And eventually licensing that. He's actually probably one of the first ones that broke through. And like Grant Cardone as well, they didn't include him here, but those guys, right, that went from a specific niche all the way up to being generalized and broad and having their portfolio company, right? And Reshred Fitness, right? And Jordan Welsh, he started at ecom, did really good on that, and he also documented his journey on YouTube. And here's the thing: personal brand is this is the context behind it, right? So one of the most valuable asset in this digital age is your personal brand. It has allowed guys like me, who came from a low income family, to make six figures by simply having a micro brand. You don't need a huge brand like these guys, but obviously this is the North Star that you can expect if you've grown your brand as big as these guys, right? But practically, I didn't come from anything, and this has allowed me to really just take advantage of the online space and make it the even playing field, right? It's not something like there's a hierarchy when it comes with the online industry, where the entire coaching consulting space, where hey, you're limited to this because you're X, right? Or you have to earn your stripes for, I don't know, for years, or you need to be born in a specific family to get into these specific businesses or get these type of access to information, right? There's nothing like that in the online space, which is what I like about it. Is it allows you to have an even playing field, right? So again, this is some of the people, right, that some of my reps has connected with and people has closed deals for, right? Also, I've some of these guys closers, I have seen and met them as well, right? And spoken with them in a good length amount of time, so I know this is the back end that they've used as well, and I've found the common denominators in this, right? And again, just to give you a bit of context, right? One thing I want you to understand also is, if you're currently selling your own coaching program, maybe you're making barely any money from it. Maybe it's a side thing. Maybe you're making $5,000 per month, $10,000 per month, and you're trying to scale this and make this your full-time thing, right? Followers that not always equate to sales, because there are people out there who has hyper-specific niche that they grew into. Like, we didn't know Alex Hormozy about gym launch until now when he became generalized. But back then, when he was making millions off of gym launch, we didn't really know him. So there's a bunch of Alex Hormozys right now that we still haven't met yet. And eventually, by using their blueprint and their methods, right, you can practically become these guys. And this is personally what I'm currently doing as well, right? So what does this mean for us, right? So again, you need to build a specific audience with a specific problem will be your goal. You have to be granular on who you serve, right? So for example, Iman Gadzi, who is his audience? Complete beginners looking for a better opportunity, right? They're kind of exposed on, hey, I need to find ways to make money off of online, or I don't want to go to the traditional path. That's kind of like his main audience. What's the pain that they're facing, right? So tired of their 9-to-5 job and want to be financially free, right? And the problem that they're facing is they don't know where to start, right? And the solution that he provided was one of his programs called the Agency Navigator, full A to Z roadmap, supports, templates, and all that good stuff. And then the income that they're targeting specifically, that the demographic is 9-to-5 versus making anywhere from 2 to 5K per month, right? And again, you can insert whatever offer that you have here and kind of just have much more specifics on who you serve, what problems they're facing, what are their pain points, what is the solution you're providing, and roughly around how much they're making. Because once you have a bit of understanding on who you're serving, then you can use that on your marketing. And I can get a bit more detailed here in a couple of seconds here, right? So, but that's just a bit of an overview on who you should be targeting, right? So the specific the messaging, the better you can capture a segment of the market. In other words, all these industry leaders understood this formula that allowed them to practically print money in thin air. So having mastered one skill or having results for a specific industry, right? Having a personal brand, and then the DFOS, the deal flow operating system, right? And equals money. So now let's break this down. A lot of you is wondering, maybe it's like, okay, what is the deal flow operating system? This is really what separates people from making 5 to 15K per month all the way to 50K per month, 200 grand per month, right? Is if you want to go from consistently making 5 to 15K per month to selling your coaching program to consistently hitting 50K months beyond, pay attention to this. Is what you're missing with your business. So practically, I guarantee you, and I'm confident this is probably one of the main things that you're missing right now, is not having this operating system in place, right? So after running my own coaching program and seeing the behind the scenes of all these 100K month coaching programs, they all have this implemented. The deal flow operating system that consistently and predictably scale coaching, consulting businesses, right? So again, this is the DFOS, practically DFOS, right? So I'm going to go to my right now to kind of break this down to you guys, right? So what is the DFOS? So pretty much there are 4 phases of it, right? So practically phase 1 is just understanding what your offer is. So here are a list of questions you can ask, right, for your offer. And again, this is not just information I got from someone else. This is literally me reflecting back, me being a closer the past 2 years for these coaching consulting programs and training up 200 sales reps and reviewing their sales calls, reviewing their appointment setting framework, tweaking their framework and helping them come up with your script and understanding the messaging, the positioning, the angles of these coaching consulting programs I've worked with and indirectly work with. This is what I've come up with, and this is the common denominators that I've seen, right? So there's usually 4 phases, right? So let me break it down for you. So pretty much phase 1 is understanding the offer, the fulfillment, right? And then the marketing as well. And then phase 2 is a bit more of like the nurturing. So let's break this down a little bit. So offer. Here are a list of questions you can ask yourself to identify your offer, right? Or you can just look at Alex Hormozi's $100 million offer. That's a good one as well. But again, this is without having any examples or anything. This is what I've come up with personally. So what problem are you solving, right? So specifically, it's a very simple question. Are you helping them? How are you getting them from point A to point B, essentially, right? And who is our ideal client? So you need to be very granular with this. What is the work that they do? What type of field that they work in? How old are they? Range, right? Income, likes, dislikes, struggles, right? And ultimately, this is going to give you a bit of a context on how you can position your marketing, right? On paid ads and organic, your hooks and all these things, right? And for your content, because this is going to be your machine to generate leads, right? And what is the outcome of our service or product? Like, what are you specifically helping them with? So for example, for me, when I was selling my coaching program, I was helping them learn a valuable skill, which is sales, right? And getting them and helping them find ways to land an offer to work with these coaching consulting programs. So essentially, for you specifically, who are you targeting? Because for example, for me now, who do I work with, right? And I work with people who has coaching consulting programs, right? And I manage their sales team and scale it that way, right? So it's leveling up as well. So for example, there's someone that could be helping someone launch a high ticket e-commerce brand, pretty much, right? So it's not like a drop shipping brand, but like drop shipping in e-com, but specifically high ticket products. For example, maybe it's a bed that costs $3,000, $5,000, or it could be, I don't know, it could be something that solves a huge problem. Maybe it's for people who are disabled and those automatic chairs that you could kind of like sit on and drive on, right? So stuff like that, those are high ticket products in e-com, and then maybe that's what they specialized on, right? So they help them find products and then how to run ads and find suppliers. It could be the the offer that you're servicing, right? Or it could be helping people launch their own fitness coaching business or whatever it is, right? So how, and then essentially getting fixated on how long will it take to solve the problem. So you need to always have a roadmap and end on mind, just ultimately because when people doesn't have any timeline, they feel a bit uncertain when they're trying to invest into you. So this is a tip from people who's trying to sell their coaching consulting programs right now, or potentially who wants to sell their coaching consulting programs, is you need to have a timeline on the service that you're selling them. So creating a roadmap is extremely important when you're selling a service or a product, right? Especially when you're selling info. Here's an analogy I will give to you, right? So think about this as a human being who was challenged to, hey, if you hold your breath underwater, and then after I tell you to go get up, then you'll get rewarded 100 grand, whatever it is, right? But once you tell them that, but you didn't tell them an end goal in mind, and then they're like 15 seconds in, they'd feel like it's forever and they might just give up. But if you tell them, hey, if you hold your breath for 2 minutes or however long it is underwater, then I'll reward you 100 grand after you finish that. Then even though if it's maybe like 30 seconds in and it might burns or they're struggling, but at least they know they have an end goal in mind that they're working on. This is kind of like how the mind works. And that's similar on when you're selling a service or an offer, is you need to package it correctly. That means having a roadmap and timeline and time-based outcomes on the offer or the product that you're servicing specific individuals, right? And that means you can speak directly to that individual, right? So after that, you need to ask yourself, who is our competitor? Because this also validates if your program or the service you're potentially wanting to sell actually has product market fit already, right? This is the easiest way and the fastest way you can validate if it's gonna sell in the market, right? That means there's people that's selling it already, right? Because here's the thing, a lot of people think that you need to reinvent the wheel for you to just simply make money in the online coaching space. But to be honest with you, you don't need to. You can just simply go ahead and look for people who's selling similar product that you're wanting to sell, and then finding a blue ocean on that. And that would be another topic for another video. But that's specifically what you need to understand is, hey, who is my competitors and what are they doing good with and what they're not doing well with. And then you can also see their testimonials, their results, and how long they've been in the game. So the longer they've been in the game, that means they're making more money, and that means they have identified their messaging. But if it's a very recent coach or service that they're trying to sell that doesn't really have much testimonials, then that type of marketing, that positioning might not be as effective. So I would focus more on people who has been in the game for quite some time now, and then looking at what are some strategies that they're potentially using for marketing, their hooks, right, on how they position their offer, their YouTube videos, or their websites, or their VSLs, right? Like all of these things plays into part on how they're so good. And again, this is, a lot of people think that selling course or selling coaching programs or consulting programs is easy. No, it's not. There's a lot of things that goes into it, and that could be a lot of misconception. A lot of people is like, oh, I'm not gonna buy your course. But bro, a good course or a program takes a lot of time to get results, right? And that's why there's a lot of people out there that just simply selling air, and they don't want to be in that party of just selling air. And then maybe they make a lot of money within a few months, and then their program dies out just simply because they didn't understood the second, third order consequences of their actions. So understanding that if you want to be in here for the long game, you need to implement the deal flow operating system for you to understand and to actually survive this industry, right? It's not just like, hey, I'm going to sell a course and I'm going to charge people money, send them a payment link, and that's it, right? There's a lot of things that goes into actually launching and then sustaining a successful coaching consulting program, right? And again, this is going to be a bit of a long one, so you can save this video, or again, Keep watching this video. If this is something you're valuable as well, let me know in the comment section below. I would appreciate that a lot. So let's go to the next one, right? So fulfillment. So here are a list of questions you can ask yourself. How are we solving our clients' problems, right? So that means, I know this is kind of similar to the offer, but this question will allow you to kind of map out the roadmap on what we just discussed, right? Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So this is practically also a phase that I'm using to service my clients technically, right? So, and also, how are we different from others? So now that we've done the market research on our competition, how are we different from others? What's our unique mechanism? So for me specifically, I specialize on dialing in someone's sales process, right? And in this particular, right, helping them implement the deal flow operating system. That's practically my expertise, right? So for you, what's that expertise? Is it, you're really good at launching ads, or is it you creating marketing thesis or whatever it is, right? You don't need to solve 10 different problems for that specific audience, right? You just need to be really good at 1 to 2 different things for you to target and actually capture a market, right? So what's our unique mechanism, right? And how do we communicate with our clients? So very simple stuff, but this is actually imperative. Like, do you have weekly coaching calls? Like, how do you self-assess them if they're progressing correctly to the right direction so they can get actually results, right? Because more results for a coaching consulting programs, that means equals to more potential clients and more authority and more validity on your end, right? Because if you're not getting results and testimonials and client interviews, then that means that your product is literally just selling air. That's literally what it is. And for the people who's like, what the hell is Elijah's talking about? I want to educate you guys on this is some of the main things that you need to look out for when you're potentially investing into yourself, right? If these things are not implemented into their marketing, their positioning angles, and their sales process, right, then that just shows on how lackluster they are with their fulfillment. Imagine if you pay them $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is, but they don't have these things dialed in, right? And how do you expect them to actually deliver the result that they're promising to you in the front end if they don't have these things dialed in, right? So just a food for thought that you can eat. But anyways, let's move into marketing. So there's 2 types of thing. This is very simple. 2 things, right? Paid ads and organic. That's it, right? Those don't need to be complicated, but these are the 2 things that you just need to focus on, really. But here's a quick flow chart as well that you can check. So usually it's very simple. A lot of these coaching consulting programs is literally just straight up this on how they generate leads. Content with the CTA, free stop, or either a VSL, and then getting their contact, and then you DM set them or phone set them, get them on a book call, either like a strategy call or like a demo call, right? And then after you get their sales calls, then there's a cash. Just a simple, no-brainer, straightforward stuff. But anyways, obviously there's intricacies here, right, that you need to add some friction if you want to get more. The way I think about it is this, right? Let me just do this. So the more friction it has for you when you're getting through this flow, right, then the higher the quality of the leads that you're getting into this funnel when you're going through this chart flow, right? But the less the friction is, right, maybe increases your sales calls, but the quality of the leads is also lower, right? So it's the same thing here, right? Maybe the sales calls is down, right, but the lead quality is high. So just a bit of context as well when you're potentially selling your service. Think about it, reflect to your funnel and how it's structured, right, and understanding and how this your entire operating system works, right? So, and again, it's very simple, but honestly, I would always start, and what I've seen successful offers as, they have built a strong organic, and then eventually once they somewhat tapped into that organic already, then they relaunch it to paid ads, right? So organic could be either a long form like this video, a YouTube video, or a short form video, right? And then eventually the goal is to redirect them to your nurturing funnel. Either it could be Instagram. Majority of the people I work with, they've used Instagram as their main funnel, but some people have used Discords or free community, and now like, which is a very famous platform, which is cool, right? So that's kind of like an idea with that. But majority of the time, coaching consulting programs, they are still, I still see you can still print 300 500K per month on IG story call to actions, right? But again, this is the nurturing part, which is kind of like blended in on phase 2, right? So again, I could go for probably another entire hour breaking down on how do you go from organic to paid ads and all that good stuff, but I don't want to make this video much more longer. Let me know if you guys want me to break that down as well. Would be much more happier to do so as well, right? So again, after that, pretty much IG story CTA, right? It's very simple. It's just creating scarcity, creating authority when you're posting, and just making sure you're in the top of mind of your followers, right? Because they're probably following a bunch of people, right? And then getting them testimonials and sharing that testimonial. But this is the IG story CTA sequence that I would always use, is personal and testimonials, and eventually CTAs, right? But eventually another thing that you can do for your CTA is a free community, or /email sequence. That will help out with making sure they're in the top of your mind. You don't need a bunch of likes or anything. It's just literally they need to constantly see you to potentially consider you to become their mentor or purchase your service or product, right? And then the results, right? Again, just sharing your results, always constantly flexing the results you've gotten, right? And then announcement channel is again on CTAs, right? That's kind of like how you would structure a free community. Again, this is another video. It could probably take another extra 30 minutes just explaining that. And CTAs is where you make all the cash, right? And practically the goal from CTAs is to get them to phone set or DM set to get their information, right? And again, let's talk about phase 3, right? So phase 3 is practically the launch of your entire thing. By the way, in the phase 1, phase 2, you don't try to convert them right in the get-go. You're just constantly doing it to gain awareness, right? Eyeballs to your Instagram profile, and just getting that reach that you need, right? And building that community, right? And documenting the journey, all that good stuff, right? And eventually, roughly around the third, fourth month, right after you've implemented this deal flow, is a rinse and repeat. This deal flow operating system. Then the next up after that is pre-launch. These are a couple of things that you need to do. So number 1, announcement, kind of teasing what exactly that you're going to service them, right? So it could be from your IG story sequence, a story pool, right? And all that good stuff. And then eventually it becomes a conversion conveyor belt. Practically, this is from phone DM setting. Once you've DM'd them, DM me this word, info, scale, start, right? And then getting them on a sales call, right? And then that's the cash. And then you go ahead and deliver the service that you have. Or it could also be not closed, right? So meaning like, okay, well, if it's not closed, then you just redirect them to a free community email sequence again, and a bunch of other free resources that you're sending them, and then try to reconvert them back to sales calls again, and all that good stuff, right? And then again, phase 4, which is the last phase, is practically building your team out to scale this up. So a lot of friction you're probably going to face is you can probably get to 50K per month by yourself, but to go from 50K per month to 100, 200, 300K per month, then you need these things and beyond, right? So operations, hiring, communication, right? So number 1 on operations, you need to create trainings and KPIs. So any time when there's a lot of repetitive tasks, then you can hire out VAs for this, right? And you can create KPIs for this and some trainings. Either you can put it on Docs, Google Docs, on Notion, and all that good stuff, right? And then also a CRM to keep in track of your client, relationships, right? And all that good stuff. If you're not using CRMs, you're literally losing millions of dollars, right? I'm over exaggerating, but hundreds and thousands of dollars into your coaching programs, right? And again, hiring as well is main key hires. You need to identify the strengths that you have and their main weaknesses, right? So That means, okay, do I enjoy most of my time doing sales calls, but I feel like it's a drag to come up with scripts, content to generate leads and all that stuff, then you can outsource that. But for example, maybe you hate hopping on the sales calls, but you love the fulfillment, but you love the content, then you go find a sales team to implement that, right? And then criteria and the hiring procedure is, then you need to create an onboarding process as well when you're onboarding these people, right? What are the criteria you're looking for a setter, closer, right? Because even if you're gonna source it from to a sales agency, you need to have some type of baseline on who you want to work with, so you can communicate it to that vendor that you're working with on managing your entire sales team, so they have context as well on, they're not just guessing of like what you like and what you don't like, right? So, and also communication, right? So very simple stuff, but internal team, Slack, Discord, and setting up some channels for that, automation, zaps, and also having weekly check-ins for any updates you guys are doing for marketing. And just, it's very imperative for you to communicate your marketing efforts to your sales team so they know if there's any tweaks, so they understand it. So also the sales reps, maybe if there's no sales calls coming in, any new leads coming in, they're not just like wondering why there's nothing going on. Maybe there's something that got banned or whatever it is, right? So it also communicates them so they can also just be on standby, right? So, and again, training for anything that's required, right? Constantly training your reps, right? And then KPIs, right? Review and then identify the bottlenecks you guys are potentially facing on going from 100, 250, 250 to 300, whatever it is, right? And all that stuff. But essentially, that's practically it, right? So this is the key objectives you have each phases, which is build, launch, scale, maintain. Timeline on this usually, and implementing this entire thing is usually 6 months. But again, this is practically it, right? This is what you're going to be using, and this is what I've noticed on all of the offers I work with closed for. Referred a sales rep on the deal flow operating system is what makes a coaching consulting program separates people from actually maintaining and surviving and thriving for people who's like just a one-time hit wonder and then they just disappear, right? So that's practically it. Let me go back to this here. But yes, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys found something valuable here. And again, this is the experience I've gotten the past few years being in the info coaching industry, right? And just selling services, coaching, consulting programs, right? If you generally want to sell a service that you confidently are an expert on and you confidently feel like you can get someone results, then you need to understand that having an operating system in place is extremely important, because if you don't have that in place, then you're going to struggle from surviving and maintaining for many days and just scaling this, right? And actually becoming a industry leader on wherever industry you're trying to go, right? And again, I know there's a lot of people out there that might be wondering as well, like, okay, who, like, how do you even get into this entire space? This is technically the breakdown on how to create a coaching consulting program as well. And if you guys have any questions, more than happy to welcome you. And if you're watching this video and maybe you're actually selling a coaching program or pushing a consulting coaching programs, then would love to chat with you as well to potentially implement these systems in place and the operating system in place. So let me know. Hit me up on Instagram. There's going to be a link below as well if you want to chat with me. If you're a coach or a consultant, more than happy to help out. And again, as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. And I'll always leave you guys with this one thing. If this is your first time here, be a creator, not a consumer. Create something today that will inspire you and others. Peace out.